Wargamers, Games Workshop released the preview for 8th edition Tau, what Tau are going to look like in 8th edition, how they're going to play, everything like that. Specifically, they gave us a look at the Storm Surge, Crisis Suits, and Sniper Drone teams. So I want to talk about that and the implications for the army as a whole, what it might look like, and how it might play under 8th edition. Before we get into that, though, I want to say thanks for watching. If you like this video, if you like any of my other videos, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell as well. That way you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. So, cool. This is a preview that I've been looking forward to for a while, at least since they started talking about 8th edition, and that's obviously because Tau are my main army. So I want to know what Tau are going to look like under 8th edition, and this has given us a somewhat clear idea of what that is. So before we get into those, I do want to mention one thing that they talk about, and that is that formations are gone, and they gave a whole preview about this before where there's no more formations. All the formations that we have, all the books that were filled with formations, totally void now. So that means no more Riptide Wing, that means no more Optimized Stealth Cadre, no Hunter Cadre, no Dawnblade Contingent, anything like that. All that's out the window. We're starting from scratch. So that's good and bad in the way that we're not going to feel obligated or have these tools available to us. We're not going to have to bring 3 Riptides because we feel like we have to have a Riptide Wing to be competitive, but there's probably going to be something else that we feel that we need to bring in order to be competitive too. So, not the end of the world. It's going to be great. We have a whole bunch of different units that we can use, not just Riptides, so that's fine with me. Alright, so moving on to the Storm Surge, we learned a few things. One, the anchors no longer do what they used to do. It used to be that if you deployed the anchors on a Storm Surge, it could fire twice. But now they don't do that anymore. It just gives you +1 to hit. Additionally, it has the walking battleship rule, which is similar to a rule that Crisis Suits have that we'll get into in a minute. But basically, it allows them to fall back from combat. So again, you can just walk out of combat if you choose to at the beginning of your movement phase, just disengage, and the Storm Surge can do that, but it has a couple perks. One, it can shoot, whereas normally units that fall back from combat cannot shoot, and it also doesn't suffer any penalties for moving and shooting heavy weapons. So the Storm Surge completely happy to move out of combat, which is good for Storm Surges. Additionally, it has 10 weapons, they say, and I had a hard time figuring out exactly what those 10 weapons would be. I thought, well, maybe some weapons, shoot twice or something like that. But what I think it is that you have your main gun, you have the missile batteries, the big missile batteries on either side of the Storm Surge, a twin-link smart missile system, which counts as having 2 smart missile systems now. The twin-link support system, so whether that's the Flamer or the Airburst Fragmentation Projector or anything like that, or I think it's burst cannons. Any of those 3, you have 2 of those, and then you have 4 destroyer missiles. So 4 missiles plus your 2 support weapons plus the 2 smart missile systems plus your main missile battery plus your main weapon is 10 weapons. So I think those are the 10 weapons that it has, and they can all fire at different targets. So there's that. And overall, I think this basically means that the Storm Surge is going to be more survivable because it's not going to get locked in combat. It can move out of combat as it likes. And while it doesn't have the same concentration of firepower, I think it has some more flexible or more beneficial options for shooting now. You no longer have to dedicate, you no longer have to really deal with taking multiple turns to get the 2 shots off from deploying the anchors. You're no longer constrained based on your deployment of anchors or not, at least to the same extent, potentially. And it allows you to basically pick and choose your weapon options a little bit more to be consistent with this more flexible playstyle and the differences in target priority that you'll have. So that's good. I'm okay with this overall. Like I said, I think it mellows out the Storm Surge. It makes it not quite as pointy, but it might be a little bit more survivable, which is good. All right, moving on to crisis suits. We didn't learn that much about crisis suits, actually. They spent a lot of time talking about the storm surge, a lot of time talking about sniper rifle teams or sniper drone teams, but not a lot of time talking about crisis suits, which is disappointing because I agree. I think it's Frankie that wrote this. I agree that crisis suits are like the quintessential. They are the iconic Tau unit, and we really want them to be an important part of Tau armies in the fluff and also in actual gameplay. So I'm curious about how these guys are actually going to play. But they told us that crisis suits can take 3 weapons, which is no different than today. You can take three weapons on a crisis suit. No mention of support systems, so it's unclear if things like target lock, velocity tracker, if those things are still options or not. But if you take 3 weapons, you can fire all of them, just like with the Storm Surge. And so it's unclear if that's maybe how the new multi-tracker works, or if that's just something that all units can do, is if they have multiple weapons, they can fire all of them. I hope it's something special for battle suits, that battle suits can fire multiple weapons because of, you know, their built-in multi-tracker or something like that, but who knows? That's unclear. They also have the fly keyword, which is like that rule that the Storm Surge has, but it basically just allows them to fire after disengaging from combat. They don't have the exception for heavy weapons, but that's fine. All right. So that's crisis. That's all we learned about crisis suits, is that they have 3 weapons and they can fall back and shoot. So all right. There are some things from sniper drone teams, which we'll talk about now, that might apply for crisis suits as well, and we'll get to that in a second. But so sniper drone teams, we learned that, well, they gave us a whole preview, a whole picture of what the entry for sniper drones looks like. And so there's a ton of information in there, a lot to unpack. The first is that there's no marksman included in the unit description. It just says that you can take 3 sniper drones, and then you can add more sniper drones to it, but it doesn't say anything about a marksman. So it's unclear if that means that a new drone kit is coming when Tower released, that they're going to have some drone kit that has options for sniper drones and all these other different types of drones, but not marksman anymore. And something that kind of supports that idea that they're moving away from the marksman model, aside from the marksman just not being mentioned in this unit entry, is that they talk about sniper drones being needing to be paired with an HQ choice like a Cadre Fireblade for maximum effect. But in the current system, all the benefits that you get from a Cadre Fireblade you get from a marksman, because it's ballistic skill 5, and that's where the drones get their accuracy from. So why would they need to be paired with a Cadre Fireblade if they have the marksman? So it seems to me like the marksman is going away. And I don't know what that means, if that means that they're coming out with a new kit, or if the marksman is going to be a new HQ choice or something like that. But no marksman on this preview. Additionally, sniper weapons in general, it seems, can target characters even if they are not the closest enemy unit. So that's good. That means sniper drones are going to be particularly important in your armies when you're facing big bad characters like Gilliman or something, because Gilliman, again, doesn't benefit, or doesn't fall under the category of more than 10 wounds, so he benefits from this special character rule where he can hide behind other units. And so sniper rifles give us a way to circumvent that, allow us to actually target character units that we wouldn't otherwise be able to hit unless they were the closest thing. And so I think sniper rifles are going to be making a big comeback in Tau armies, especially just because they have an extended range. They have 48-inch range, and the drones themselves are maneuverable. So that's good. Sniper drones have a sniper drone stealth field, which gives them -1 to hits against them. So if you're shooting at a sniper drone team, you have to -1 from your ballistic skill, basically. And that's unclear if that's going to be something that's consistent for things like stealth suits or other types of stealth in the Tau army. because this is specifically listed as sniper drone stealth, so who knows. But in some ways, this is a lot better than before because it doesn't pigeonhole you into cover, right? You don't have to stay in cover to get the benefit of your stealth over your normal armor save or anything like that. So it's more maneuverable, which is great, and it has a more consistent effect on the survivability of your drones, which I like. So this sounds good. They also have this Savior Protocol special rule, which seems like it's going to be something army-wide for drones, and that is that if a drone unit is within 3 inches of a Tau infantry or battlesuit unit, the wounds that are received by that infantry or battlesuit unit can be allocated to the drone unit instead. And there's a couple things that are worth noting there. One is that drone unit versus a infantry or battlesuit unit. So that suggests that drones don't have to be or may not be included in those types of units. So you might not have drones that are actually in a fire warrior unit, actually in a crisis suit unit. They might be their own unit that are just kind of hanging around and you know, basically playing goalie, jumping around and grabbing shots from nearby units. Additionally, you don't have to position drones within a unit to intercept shots. It used to be like you could put your you know, your crisis suit behind the drone, and then the drone would take the shot if the shot was coming from that direction. But if you got someone that deep strike behind you and the crisis suit was closer to that shooting unit, then the drone was useless. So now that's not an issue anymore. You can just allocate wounds as needed, which is good. And it's also kind of similar to some of the old original drone rules, which I like. So on the surface, this seems to be an improvement on sniper drone teams. And especially just an improvement on snipers in general. I think snipers are going to be more important in armies. So particularly sniper drone teams here, or potentially crewed if they retain the ability to have sniper rounds. Those units, I think, are going to be a important, but not necessarily massive component of most Tau armies. I think every army will want to have, you know, just a few sniper drones, or, you know, one unit of crewed or something like that to perform this sniper role. But they're not going to be, you know, just sniper drone armies or anything like that. I don't think you're going to see it spammed. So that's good. Now, from all three of these previews, there are a few things that we can kind of glean out and see how the whole army as a whole might work. The first thing is that I'm thinking that there's not jump, shoot, jump anymore. It seems like this critical aspect of jetpacks has been removed from the game, if sniper drones are any indication. Now, sniper drones don't have any special rule that allows them to move, shoot, and then move again as they did currently. They had jetpacks, which allowed them to move, shoot, and then in the assault phase, use a thrust move and move back into position. So for sniper drones, at least, that's gone, and potentially by extension for all battlesuits that might be gone as well. Instead, they have a 8-inch movement characteristic, which is worse. They used to be able to move 6 inches and then, you know, roll to see how far they could go, and, you know, on average that would, you know, give them an additional 6 or 7 inches to move. So they could move like 12 inches, and now they can only move 8. So that's a mathematically worse statistic, but also a less flexible one. One of the best benefits of having a jetpack was that you could be behind a wall, jump out in front of it, and then jump back. And this was something that a lot of people, when Tau first were introduced, were outraged by. It was so frustrating for them because they weren't able to target this unit that had just fired at them. And maybe this is a solution for those people. Maybe GW has said, okay, well, we're not going to do jump, shoot, jump anymore, so cool your jets. Ha, jets. Or it could be just a way of streamlining the game. Either way, I'm not particularly happy about that if it's true. It seems like a huge nerf to jetpack units, especially to crisis suits who use that jump, shoot, jump mechanic to really increase their survivability. So without that, I think crisis suits in particular are going to have a hard time staying on the battlefield. An additional thing that we learned was that supporting fire is now called something else. It's called For the Greater Good, and that's all we really know. We don't know if the range of supporting fire has changed or if any other mechanics have changed, but at least has a different name, which, For the Greater Good is a cooler name. I'll give you that. But why would they change the name if they didn't change something else about the rules? So we'll see. We'll have to see what that holds. And then the final thing I want to mention is that in the sniper drone unit entry, we saw that it has the keyword sept in brackets. And that's the exact same format that we saw in the Primera Space Marine preview that we talked about the other day, where it had chapter in brackets. So in the Primera Space Marine context, that means that Primera Space Marines can belong to whatever chapter you choose. Here, that suggests that the sniper drone teams can belong to any sept world that you choose, which is interesting because there has never been sept-specific rules. So this either suggests that we're getting sept-specific rules in the future, or that this is just a way to delineate between Tau Empire units and Enclave units. Although I think that they would choose a different wording for that. Maybe they would just have Empire and Farsight Enclaves as two separate keywords, and they wouldn't revert to this kind of, nebulous bracketed sept keyword. I think they would be more explicit if it was just a binary option, either your Farsight or your Empire. I think they would just have both those keywords. So this to me suggests that we might be seeing some sort of special sept rule in the future, which is cool. Very exciting. Overall, I think there are some improvements here in terms of maneuverability and survivability on the surface, but I think there are also some major questions as far as the maneuverability of jetpack units and the actual amount of firepower and special options that we're going to have. Now, they say that how we're going to have a lot of options, have a lot of flexibility, but this preview makes me concerned about that to some extent. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and of course, happy wargaming.